When it comes to breastfeeding, people often imagine a sacred vocation, associated with the image of a mother tenderly holding her child in her arms. Breast milk has long been recognized as the most perfect source of nutrition for infants, not only because of its nutritional value, but also because of the wonderful immune and intellectual development benefits it brings. However, behind that beautiful picture, many mothers have wondered, does the size of their bust affect their ability to breastfeed their children? Can a small breast be enough to provide an abundant supply of milk for a baby? Or does a fuller breast really ensure a smoother breastfeeding journey? That question not only exists in the minds of those preparing to become mothers, but also silently forms social stereotypes about the beauty of women associated with the function of motherhood. But in fact, science has shown that breast size and the ability to produce breast milk have no direct correlation. The truth lies behind the complex structure of the breast, the wonderful biological mechanisms in the mother's body, and the psychological and social factors that affect the breastfeeding process. A woman's breasts, whether large or small, are made up of two main elements: fatty tissue and glandular tissue. Adipose tissue largely determines the size and appearance, while glandular tissue is the real factory that produces milk. A woman with compact breasts, but with a high density of glandular tissue, is still fully capable of breastfeeding her baby effectively. On the contrary, a large breast that is mainly composed of fatty tissue does not guarantee outstanding milk secretion ability. Going deeper, during pregnancy, the mother's body will go through a series of hormonal changes to prepare for the sacred task of nurturing a small life. Hormones such as estrogen, progesterone, and prolactin stimulate the development of milk ducts and mammary lobules. Many women find that their breasts grow significantly during pregnancy, which is a positive sign that the milk production system is being carefully prepared. However, there are some cases where, due to physical or pathological factors, such as polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, hypothyroidism, or hypoplasia, the development of glandular tissue is not optimal, affecting the ability to produce milk later. On the other hand, the process of milk production and secretion is not simply a mechanical reflex, but also a complex endocrine orchestra. When the baby suckles, the nipples are stimulated. The mother's body releases the hormones oxytocin and prolactin. Oxytocin causes muscle cells around the milk sacs to contract, pushing milk down the milk ducts and out, while prolactin promotes the production of more milk for the next feeding. This process follows the principle of supply and demand. The more frequent and effective breastfeeding, the more milk is produced. That explains why, regardless of breast size, if the mother breastfeeds her baby regularly and with the right technique, the milk supply can still be abundant to meet the baby's developmental needs. The process of lactation, although miraculous, is also very sensitive. Psychological factors such as stress, anxiety, or low self-esteem can reduce oxytocin levels, causing the lactation reflex to be disrupted. This is why it is so important to understand the relationship between breast size and breastfeeding ability. If a mother, because of self-consciousness about her breast size, always worries and doubts her ability to breastfeed her child, that anxiety can become the biggest barrier on the breastfeeding journey. The role of social and cultural factors cannot be ignored. In many cultures, the image of an ideal mother is often associated with a full bust. This unintentionally creates a lot of pressure for women with small breasts, making them doubt their ability to become mothers. In some cases, insensitive comments from relatives and friends about appearance are enough to deeply hurt a mother's self-confidence. Meanwhile, as studies have demonstrated, breastfeeding success depends primarily on internal functional factors: glandular tissue development, breastfeeding technique, emotional support, rather than appearance. If we go deeper into the internal structure of the breasts, we will see that each breast has dozens of milk ducts, connecting from the milk gland lobules to the nipples. When your baby latches on properly, The pressure from the sucking movement stimulates these ducts to release milk. This structure exists regardless of breast size. There are even cases where women with small breasts but have an abundant number of mammary gland lobules and well-functioning milk ducts have the ability to secrete milk even better than those with large breasts, but sparse distribution of glandular tissue. Another point to note, it is the ability to store milk between feedings that accounts for the small differences in feeding frequency, not overall milk yield. Those with low milk storage need to breastfeed more often, perhaps 8-1-2 times a day, while those with better storage may nurse 6 to 8 times a day. However, the total amount of milk in 24 hours still ensures enough for the child's normal development needs. In addition, many women worry when their breasts do not increase in size much during pregnancy or after giving birth. In fact, the increase in breast size during pregnancy is not an absolute criterion for assessing the ability to breastfeed. Some people only have very little changes in appearance, but inside the gland tissue is still fully developed. Most important is to observe postpartum milk secretion. Colostrum appears in the first days, then changes to mature milk within 3 to 5 days. These are the real signs that the milk production system is working properly. In cases where there is a real problem with milk production, for example, mammary hypoplasia, underdeveloped mammary glands, the signs are often easily recognizable through characteristics such as very small and narrow breasts, an unusually wide gap between the breasts, a marked asymmetry, and unusually small area. However, even in these cases, there are still many support methods, such as increased breastfeeding, using a breast pump to help stimulate milk production, combined with supplementing formula, if necessary, while still maintaining partial or complete breastfeeding. Another factor that cannot be ignored is the mother's self-care. A healthy body, provided with enough nutrition, enough water, and adequate rest, will have optimal conditions for milk production. Important nutrients that support lactation include protein, iron, calcium, vitamin D, and essential fatty acids. Adequate supplementation of food groups in the daily diet acts as raw materials for the milk factory to operate smoothly. Furthermore, support from family and community is also extremely important. A mother who has active support from her husband, family, and friends, from emotional support to sharing housework, will feel more confident in her breastfeeding journey. In many studies, mental factors have been shown to have a clear influence on the success rate of breastfeeding. It can be said that breast size is just the tip of the iceberg, and success in breastfeeding depends on a complex ecosystem of knowledge, skills, psychology, overall health, and social support. A mother who understands her body correctly, believes in her own abilities, and is guided in the right techniques will always have a chance to succeed, no matter how modest her bust is. Ultimately, the breastfeeding journey is more than simply a biological task. It is also a journey of emotional connection between mother and child, a vivid expression of love, sacrifice, and sacred maternal instinct. Breast size, therefore, is just a very small detail in that large picture. The most important thing is the warm heart, the embracing arms, the eyes filled with love for the little angel, that is truly the eternal source of nutrition that nourishes the child's soul. And that is why preparing for the breastfeeding journey should not stop at measuring bust size, but should focus on fostering knowledge, building a positive psychology, and creating a solid support environment around the mother. The more fully equipped with knowledge, the more confident a mother will be when facing challenges that may arise during breastfeeding. One of the most basic things is to understand the supply-demand mechanism. Breast milk does not exist in a fixed amount, but is continuously produced based on the baby's feeding needs. Every time the baby feeds, it sends a signal to the body that milk supply needs to continue to be produced. Skipping a feeding or reducing the frequency of feedings without maintaining replacement pumping will result in decreased milk production. On the contrary, Frequent breastfeeding and regular pumping will help maintain and even increase the amount of breast milk. Understanding this principle, the mother will no longer be haunted by worries such as, "My breasts are too small," "Maybe there is not enough milk for the baby," or "My breasts are not engorged, maybe the milk has run out." In fact, the feeling of tightness only appears in the early stages, when the body has not yet adjusted the amount of milk according to actual needs. As your milk supply stabilizes, the feeling of fullness will lessen, but milk will continue to be produced regularly, as long as your baby continues to suckle regularly. Many mothers stop breastfeeding early just because they misunderstand their body's normal signals. Additionally, some women worry when their breasts become smaller after giving birth or after weaning. This is completely natural, as the amount of glandular tissue decreases when milk production is no longer needed, and fatty tissue in the breasts can also change with hormonal fluctuations. It's important not to equate changes in body shape with success or failure in breastfeeding. A woman's body is inherently designed to take on this sacred vocation, regardless of differences in appearance. Another aspect that needs to be emphasized is choosing the appropriate breastfeeding position for each body condition. For women with large breasts, finding a position where the baby can latch deeply and properly is sometimes more difficult. At this time, using a support pillow, lying on your side, or holding a football hold will help the baby reach the nipple more easily, reducing pressure on the mother's back and wrists. On the contrary, for people with small breasts, the traditional belly-hugging position is often very convenient. The important thing is not which position is right or wrong, but which position is suitable for each mother-child pair, creating conditions for the baby to latch deeply, suck effectively, and for the mother to feel most comfortable. In addition to physiological and technical factors, psychological factors play an extremely important role. Confidence in your ability to breastfeed is the key to getting through difficult times. A confident mother will rarely rush to supplement formula when encountering normal signs such as frequent feedings, prolonged breastfeeding, or crying due to growth spurts, the baby's natural rapid growth spurts. Instead, they will understand that this is a signal that the baby is stimulating the mother's body to produce more milk to meet the baby's growing needs. By breastfeeding flexibly on demand and maintaining skin-to-skin contact, mothers can get through these growth crises gracefully. In addition, having access to breastfeeding support groups, whether in person or online, also helps increase success rates. When hearing from other mothers and having their questions and concerns answered promptly, mothers will feel less lonely, less pressured, and more steadfast on their journey. Groups like the Breastfeeding Association, La Lachet League, or local breastfeeding groups are valuable resources, not only for knowledge, but also for spirituality. Another issue worth noting is the impact of modern society on breastfeeding. The hustle and bustle of life, work pressure, unnecessary medical intervention during childbirth, and the popularity of formula milk have made it difficult for many mothers to maintain long-term breastfeeding. In that context, equipping yourself with a solid knowledge base, good practical skills, and a steadfast spirit becomes more important than ever. Breastfeeding success doesn't always come easily or naturally. Sometimes, mothers will face challenges, such as clogged milk ducts, painful cracked nipples, babies not latching on properly, or growth crises that cause babies to breastfeed continuously. It's important not to hastily conclude that your body is not good enough just because of temporary difficulties. Like any other skill, breastfeeding takes time to learn, adapt, and perfect. Understanding normal breast changes during breastfeeding also helps mothers feel more secure. For example, in the first weeks after giving birth, breasts may feel tight and heavy due to engorgement when milk begins to come in abundantly. After that, the breasts will become softer as the body adjusts the amount of milk to suit the baby's actual needs. This softness does not mean running out of milk, as many people mistakenly think. On the contrary, It is a sign that the milk production system has become rhythmic and effective. When properly understanding her body, mothers will know how to listen to natural signals instead of being confused by external changes. And when believing in her own abilities, mothers will find the inner strength to overcome all difficulties, even though the breastfeeding journey has ups and downs. More than a physical act of nourishment, breastfeeding is an emotional journey, where love is transmitted from mother's body to baby's body through every drop of sweet milk. That is the moment the mother and child's eyes meet, the tiny hands holding tightly to the mother, the feeling of warmth and peace spreading in every cell. And it is in those seemingly simple moments that the bond between mother and child is woven little by little, stronger and more sacred than any words can describe. Breast milk not only nourishes the baby's immature body, but also gives the baby a sense of security and love, which is the first foundation for emotional and mental development throughout life. From a biological perspective, breast milk is not simply a nutrient-rich solution. It is a vibrant mixture, rich in enzymes, antibodies, hormones, immune cells, and growth factors, precisely tailored to the needs of each stage of a child's development. Furthermore, the composition of breast milk even changes from one feeding to the next, from one day to the next, to accommodate the slightest changes in the baby's needs. For example, when a child is sick, the mother's body will adjust the composition of milk to strengthen immune factors, helping the child fight disease naturally. That shows how sophisticated and wonderfully programmed nature is, making the mother's role an inseparable part in the child's journey of survival and growth. In the first years of life, when a child's immune system is still weak, every drop of breast milk is not only nutrition, but also a natural vaccine, a solid defense barrier against countless bacteria and viruses in the environment. Therefore, any mother, regardless of bust size, who is able to breastfeed, is giving her child the most precious gift that no artificial product can completely replace. This further emphasizes that having low self-esteem or worrying about appearance is unnecessary and even a waste of precious energy. In reality, the breastfeeding journey is like a long journey full of twists and turns. There are easy days when the baby sucks well, the mother has enough milk, and both are happy. But there are also difficult days when the baby is irritable, does not latch well to the breast, or the mother is in pain or exhausted from staying up all night. Those moments require from the mother not only physical strength but also perseverance, faith in herself, and boundless love for her children. Every drop of sweat, every flicker of sleep, every caress and hug are proof of silent yet great sacrifice. To prepare for this journey, in addition to being equipped with knowledge about proper breastfeeding techniques, nipple care, and handling common problems such as clogged milk ducts, cracked chicken necks, temporary low milk supply, mothers also need to learn how to take care of themselves. Adequate nutrition, drink plenty of water, rest properly, seek support when needed, and especially allow yourself to be weak. Share your sadness and fatigue instead of struggling alone. A small but extremely useful tip for tired days: take time to practice skin-to-skin as much as possible. When mother and baby have direct skin-to-skin contact, the hormone oxytocin in the mother's body will be secreted more, helping to stimulate milk secretion, reduce stress, and strengthen mother-child affection. This is one of the most natural, simple, but effective methods to support the breastfeeding process, especially during periods when the baby is reluctant to breastfeed or the mother feels her milk supply has decreased. Besides, it is also very important to regularly check the correct breast latch position. A proper latch will help the baby breastfeed more effectively, cause less pain for the mother, and minimize the risk of blocked rays and cracked chicken. Next, problems that cause many mothers to give up breastfeeding early. Signs of proper latching include: the baby's mouth is wide open, the lips curl outward, the chin touches the mother's chest, the areola is more below the baby's mouth than above, and the mother feels the baby suck hard and slowly, accompanied by a clear swallowing sound. In special cases, such as premature babies, babies with tongue tie, or mothers who have had previous breast surgery, breastfeeding may be more difficult. However, with the support of a lactation consultant, pediatrician, or breastfeeding support group, most of these challenges can be overcome. It is important that mothers be mentally equipped to face challenges and not hesitate to seek help when needed. Maintaining breastfeeding also has periods of crisis, which often occur at milestones such as 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months of age. During these stages, babies often breastfeed more, appear uncomfortable, sleep less, and want to be fed continuously. Many mothers mistakenly think they lack milk and rush to supplement with formula milk. But in fact, this is a sign that the baby is experiencing a rapid growth spurt. And breastfeeding more is a natural way to stimulate the mother to produce more milk. If you consistently breastfeed on demand, after just a few days, your milk supply will increase and your baby will stabilize. In addition, pumping milk is also a great support tool. For mothers who have to go to work soon after giving birth, practicing bottle feeding with expressed breast milk from about 4 to 6 weeks of age will help maintain milk supply and ensure the baby continues to enjoy the benefits of breast milk. Breast pumps also help stimulate milk production in cases where the baby is weak or doesn't suck well enough. However, when pumping milk, you need to make sure to choose a suction funnel that matches the size of your nipple. Use the correct suction technique and maintain a regular pumping schedule. Do not pump too long or too hard, which can cause injury. The combination of direct breastfeeding and pumping also helps to be more flexible in raising the baby, while also allowing the mother to have the necessary rest time and ask relatives to help feed the baby when needed. A small but important note: whether pumping milk or breastfeeding directly, maintaining closeness between mother and child, eye contact, and caressing affection still need to be emphasized, because this is the foundation for the child's healthy emotional development. In your breastfeeding journey, understanding and respecting your body is just as important as technical knowledge. Mothers need to learn to listen to signals from their own body, know when to rest, when to supplement nutrition, and when to seek support. A healthy diet rich in protein, good fats, vitamins, and minerals will help maintain a steady milk supply. It's also important to drink enough water every day, because breast milk is mostly water, and dehydration can significantly reduce milk supply. However, it is also important to note that you should not force yourself to drink too much water. Just drink according to your body's natural needs. Besides nutrition, the mother's mood has a great influence on the lactation process. Hormones such as prolactin and oxytocin are sensitive to emotional states. When the mother is relaxed and happy, the amount of this hormone will be more abundant, helping lactation proceed smoothly. On the contrary, if the mother is stressed, anxious, angry, or sad for a long time, hormone levels will decrease, leading to reduced milk production. Therefore, creating a positive, loving, and supportive environment for mothers during the breastfeeding period is extremely necessary. Family, friends, and colleagues can contribute with simple actions such as sharing housework, taking care of the children, helping the mother rest, listening, and encouraging the mother in times of fatigue. In addition, something that few people pay attention to but has a profound impact is social attitudes toward breastfeeding in public. Many mothers feel shy and embarrassed when breastfeeding in crowded places, leading to delaying the baby's breastfeeding or shortening the breastfeeding time, affecting the amount of milk and the bond between mother and child. A civilized society needs to respect every woman's right to breastfeed, creating conditions for them to breastfeed naturally and comfortably, without being subjected to unnecessary scrutiny or comments. Understanding the stages of baby's development also helps mothers prepare better psychologically. In the first months of life, babies often breastfeed many times without following a fixed schedule. Breastfeeding on demand, instead of imposing rigid schedules, will help maintain milk supply and meet the needs of the rapidly growing baby. As your baby gets older, around 3 to 6 months old, he or she will begin to have shorter but more effective feedings and may sleep longer at night. This sometimes makes mothers worry that the baby sucks less and milk decreases. But in fact, it is just the baby's natural adaptation to the process of growing up and perfecting the digestive system. From about 6 months of age onwards, when your baby begins to eat solid foods, breastfeeding continues to play a key role in providing nutrition and immunity to the baby. Breast milk should still be the primary source of nutrition during the first year. Maintaining regular breastfeeding, especially at night when prolactin levels are high, will help mothers maintain an abundant milk supply and support the baby's intellectual and emotional development. Another point worth mentioning is the acceptance of individuality in the breastfeeding journey. Each mother-child pair is a separate world. Do not compare your baby's milk volume, feeding time, or growth rate with anyone else. There are babies who breastfeed quickly and for short periods of time, while there are babies who breastfeed slowly and for a long time. Some babies like to breastfeed many times. Some babies like to breastfeed longer. It is important that the baby gains weight steadily, reaches appropriate developmental milestones, and that the mother feels comfortable with her and her baby's schedule. If for some reason the breastfeeding journey doesn't go as expected, despite her best efforts, a mother shouldn't blame herself or feel guilty. Sometimes unexpected objective factors such as mother or baby's illness, difficult family circumstances, or insurmountable medical barriers make maintaining breast milk impossible. In those cases, the most important thing is still the love, closeness, and thoughtful care that the mother has for her child. Formula, if used properly, can also be a good support solution. A mother's love is not measured by the amount of breast milk she gives her child, but is built from hugs, affectionate looks, and loving and comforting whispers. Last but not least, mothers need to learn to appreciate themselves. Breastfeeding, whether going smoothly or challenging, is a journey to be proud of. Every day that passes, every drop of milk flowing from a mother's body is a living testament to strength, resilience, and unconditional love. Mothers deserve to be honored, loved, and proud of themselves, no matter what their body is, whether their breasts are big or small, whether the breastfeeding journey lasts a month or 2 years. Breastfeeding is a deeply personal journey where mother and child grow together, discover their inner strength together, and build an inseparable bond together. Even though the beginning may be full of confusion, even though sometimes you have to struggle with unknown difficulties, every moment the baby latches onto the breast, every trusting look up at the mother, every drop of sweet milk flowing down are all witnesses to a pure, sacred, and eternal love. And then, as the first days of her child's life gradually pass, the mother will look back on the journey she has gone through with so many mixed emotions. From the white nights holding my baby to breastfeed, from the tears from the pain of cracking the chicken's neck to the burst of laughter, when my baby latched on properly for the first time, all have become part of my indelible memories. No one can replace a mother in those moments, because it is that love and sacred attachment that nourishes the child's tender heart. And then you will see that the important thing has never been the shape of your breasts, but rather your warm heart, strong spirit, and steadfast will. There are days when mothers feel like they are not good enough, not enough milk. You may cry in silence when your baby won't stop crying, when your milk supply decreases due to stress, or when your doctor tells you that you need to supplement with formula. But mom, no one is born perfect, and no journey is always smooth. Every effort a mother makes for her child, every drop of breast milk expressed, no matter how little or how much, is an expression of great love that cannot be measured in numbers or milliliters. Sometimes, just a loving look, a tight hug, a peaceful breastfeeding session is enough to imprint deep in the child's soul, letting the child know, Mom is always here, always the most peaceful place. Babies don't need a perfect mother. What children need is a mother who is present, with all the tenderness, honesty, and fullness of emotion. And for children, mother's milk, whether coming from big or small, round or soft breasts, is still the sweetest, because it is milk from love, from mother's very life. So, mothers, please believe in yourself, hold your head high, and be proud of your body, because that body has conceived, given birth, and is nurturing a living being with the best things possible. If one day the mother has to stop breastfeeding for some unexpected reason, that does not make the mother inferior, because a good mother is not defined by how long she breastfeeds, but by how she loves her child every day. A mother holding her baby, talking to her, responding when she cries, smiling when she smiles, all are just as important as whether she feeds her baby with breast milk or formula. On the journey of breastfeeding, mothers also need to learn to forgive themselves, forgive the times of exhaustion, the times of being grumpy because of lack of sleep, the mornings of wanting to give up, because that is a very real part of being a mother. Strength does not lie in the fact that a mother is always resilient, but in the fact that she dares to face her weakness, dares to ask others for help, dares to rest, dares to slow down when needed. And in those moments, mother is teaching her child the first lesson about kindness, and sincere humanity. The journey of breastfeeding is also the journey of mothers learning to love their own body again. That body may not be as slim as before, the chest may not be as firm as before, but it is a living testament to the magical power that nature has given. Every stretch mark, every drop of milk, every heavy breath is a mark of great love. Mom doesn't have to be like anyone else. Mom, just being yourself, complete, honest, and full of love, is the best thing I have in my life. And when a mother watches her child grow up day by day, from the red baby lying sweetly in her arms to the first steps, she will understand that all the hard work, all the sleepless nights, all the moments of self-doubt are not in vain, because you are living proof that my mother did well, loved properly, and nurtured a living being with all her life. Maybe the world out there will still debate about breast size, about aesthetics, about beauty standards, but in a mother's arms, in the eyes of her child, there is nothing more beautiful than a woman breastfeeding her child with peace and unconditional love. Breast size will change over time. The body will be different, but a mother's love for her child, expressed in every drop of milk, every hug, every time she stays up all night, will live forever in the memory, in the child's soul, like a gentle light that never goes out. And then one day, when you have grown up, when you no longer need warm drops of milk from me, I will still remember. I will remember the days when you nestled into my chest, sucking passionately at my breast, as if the world was only contained in my heartbeat. I will remember your baby's tiny hands gently touching my cheek, the first stuttering sounds you made while still breastfeeding, the peaceful sleep where the sound of your mother's heart was the gentlest lullaby. Those memories will not fade, no matter how my mother's body changes, even if her breasts are no longer as full and round as before, because what remains is not the shape, but love. There are mothers who will keep the shirt they wore the first time they breastfed their child, a blurry photo of their baby pressing their face against their mother's chest, or simply record their feelings for each month and each milestone in that journey, because they know that breastfeeding is not just about feeding, but is part of the most vivid and profound memories of the motherhood journey. And if anyone ever doubts that breast size can determine a mother's success, invite them to sit quietly next to the woman who gently holds her baby in her arms, presses her lips to the baby's forehead, and whispers words that no one can hear. There, they will understand. Gentleness, devotion, and love are what really matter. Maybe science will continue to research more deeply into the mechanism of lactation, the influence of hormones, the structure of mammary gland tissue, and the impact of external factors. But there is one thing that does not need any science to prove, that a mother's love always finds a way to flow, always finds a way to reach her child, whether by big breasts, small breasts, by direct breastfeeding, or by expressed milk. And the miracle is that love never runs out. Every child deserves to be loved and nurtured by the full presence of their mother, whether that journey is short or long. Every mother deserves to be respected, recognized, and supported, because what they give to their children cannot be measured by physical measures. Breast size may be a number, but love is never a limited measurement. When a mother holds her child in her arms, when she leans in to protect her child amid the uncertainties of life, she is the most complete symbol of life, of nurturing, and of sacrifice. And if there's a message for all the mothers who are skeptical, hurt, and tired of being judged because of their body size, it's this: you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't need big breasts to be a good mother. You just need yourself, with sincere love, quiet patience, and persistent courage to help your child grow up healthy, protected, and safe. The journey of breastfeeding will pass. Your breasts will change. The sleepless nights, the days of pumping milk, the years of struggling to balance work, family, and motherhood, it will all pass. But what will stay forever, not only in you, but in the child you have cherished, is the memory of a mother who gave everything, chose to love, chose to be gentle even though sometimes she had no strength left. And that never depends on the bust. Just be yourself. Just love your child the way you are. Believe that you are good enough, not because you have a perfect body, but because you have a heart that fully loves. And remember, there is no such thing as a perfect mother. But there are millions of mothers every day who are quietly giving their children the most beautiful things, and you are one of them.